Hey everybody, and welcome back to video game Esoterica. On this week's episode of the Oddity Obscura, we're going to be playing Septentrion, also known as S.O.S in North America for the Super Nintendo. This game, more than anything else, is more like a film than it is a video game. It definitely plays like a video game, but the structure of it is a film, so much so that Human Entertainment, the developers, said that they were inspired by the book and the film, Poseidon Adventure, when they made this game. What you're seeing in the background is the Lady Chrysanthia. That's the ship in the game. Definitely a take on the Lusitania. Not only do they sound very similar, if you take a look at photos of the Lusitania versus the ship in this game, they also visually appear almost identical. But the entire point of this game is that you are on a ship that capsizes in a storm, and your goal is to escape with as many side characters as you can. There are a lot of different characters that you can play, and they each have their own unique storyline. A lot of the gameplay areas overlap, but what you need to do and how you need to do it vary greatly depending on what character you pick when you start. So replayability wise, there is a lot to this game because a single playthrough doesn't take that much time as you are on a timer before the ship completely sinks under the water. So that's definitely a unique feature of this game, is that time limit. The reason I included this game in the Oddity Obscura series is because it is unlike anything on the Super Nintendo or from that generation of gaming that wasn't also developed by Human Entertainment. You have S.O.S and you have Clock Tower. Not the PlayStation 1 version we got in North America that was fully 3D, but there was actually a release on the Super Famicom that plays much like S.O.S in its kind of filmic nature, and it's going to different areas and completing small puzzles to be able to further the storyline. So what you're taking a look at right now is I did skip a lot of the story. It's all in Japanese. A North American copy of this game is quite expensive, and it's quite cheap in Japan. And since we're not really here for the story, but for the odd gameplay, totally works. That wave just came and crashed over the ship, and now all hell has broken loose. The ship is upside down, which is something that is directly inspired by the Poseidon Adventure, because that is something that occurs in that story. The ship is upside down. But our goal is to get out. How you do that is up to you. There are multiple ways to escape, and there's multiple characters that you can take with you. Control-wise, that is the enemy in the game. The ship is going to change directions, and some paths that you take that are opened up to you in certain times, the ship will shift, and you will not be able to go through the same path you got to a certain area from. So it's a maze with some interesting control schemes. You can see I'm kind of struggling with that door there, and I would say that the control gets in the way slightly of enjoying this game, but once you do learn how it works, you're definitely going to be able to enjoy the game a lot more. A great comparison would be Out of This World. That control scheme is very similar to S.O.S, so if that's something that you absolutely hated, you're not going to love it here. If that game is something that you enjoyed playing and kind of like the control and overall puzzle nature of that game, then S.O.S is something that I would definitely recommend you pick up and play. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys watch some of the gameplay and enjoy some of the soundtrack behind it. It is quite good and definitely drives home the overall feeling and era of when this game was released, both when it came as a game and when the time setting is for the story. I will come back and talk a little bit more about the history of this and kind of give you guys some more details on the game and my thoughts. Otherwise, enjoy. Try to get this character to follow you. It's impossible. That's another hard part of the game, is getting followers. Otherwise, enjoy some of the gameplay, and we'll be back shortly to talk a little bit more about S.O.S. Now that we've walked ourselves up this entire ladder, you're going to see another component of the game, which is death. Or more specifically, if you injure yourself or kill yourself, you're not going to lose the game. You're going to lose 5 minutes, and you're going to see how much time we have left to be able to escape the ship. And that's a component that can be quite difficult to manage. Once you understand how far you can fall or what your character can or can't do, it becomes a little bit easier. But some of these jumps are quite difficult, and you can be on a great pace with a lot of time left. But if you jump incorrectly, you're going to lose 5 minutes, and you can go from being in a really good place gameplay-wise to being in a really bad place based on one mistimed jump. But because the game is so quick from start to finish, you can definitely play in rapid succession and learn a little bit more how that gameplay works and how best to achieve a good result. Graphically, I absolutely love this game. It has a tone and a color that is so unique to both the game itself and the time frame that it's trying to evoke, that classic era of ship passage. So as far as the look of the game is concerned, it's something that is very unique and works really well in what it's trying to do. Now, those characters are small, there's not a lot of pixels for each character, but the way they dress, the way they move and look, you definitely get a very distinct personality from each character. So Human has done a great job making this game feel a way that no other game on the Super Nintendo looks. I compare it closely to Capcom style games. The game and the graphics use that Mode 7 perfectly because you do get a lot of rotation effects on the ship as it kind of undulates upside down in the water, so that is definitely something amazing. When you do get these little vignettes of the ship moving, you're going to come back into the gameplay and you're going to find that was once a certain configuration is now going to be a completely different direction. So that is something that you do need to worry about. As I mentioned earlier, the ship's going to move and some things are going to get closed off to you. As far as would I recommend this game, I definitely would. I would probably emulate it in English because the Super Nintendo version is quite expensive. Japanese version's cheaper, but definitely you're missing a lot of the story there if you go ahead and buy the Japanese version. If you need it for your shelf, I would definitely recommend that one. Otherwise, check this game out. It's something very unique and unlike a lot of what was available to us back in the 16-bit era, and that is what's so odd about Human as a company and as a developer. They make a lot of unique games, and so many of them never came over to the US. It's a good thing that S.O.S did, because we didn't get the original clock tower over here, so it's kind of interesting what they picked and chose to give to us versus what they withheld. Short of that, thanks so much for watching. Really hope you guys have been enjoying the series so far. Next Tuesday, we're going to have a 2-part episode coming up. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about one very odd game in a lot more depth than we normally do on these episodes. But if you could do us a huge favor, go down below and hit that like and subscribe button. It takes us a lot of time to make each one of these episodes, and we really appreciate all your guys' love and support. Otherwise, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer each and every one of them. If you want to check us out on Instagram, you can at Chicago Game Collector. Otherwise, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday for the 2-part finale of video game Esoterica's Oddity Obscura. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.